Imagine digging through a handful of pennies you've had sitting in a jar for years. You're not expecting much, maybe a dollar or two when you roll them all up. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, the kind you'd normally overlook, could be worth thousands of dollars? That's exactly the case with certain U.S. Lincoln cents, like the 1998 D penny, a coin that seems utterly ordinary at first glance, but has the power to surprise even the most seasoned collectors. These coins, hiding in plain sight, often carry stories of minting errors, transitional anomalies, or double-die obverse details that transform them from pocket change into numismatic treasures. And tonight, we're going to uncover how a simple penny could change someone's life. The Lincoln Cent, introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, is one of the most collected and studied coins in American history. Over the decades, billions of these coins have been struck, and most of them remain incredibly common. But every once in a while, something goes wrong at the mint, an error in the die, a planchet that shouldn't have been used, or a design element slightly misaligned. These anomalies, often unnoticed by casual users, are exactly what collectors hunt for. The 1998 D. Lincoln penny is a perfect example of this, with certain error types elevating its value from 1 cent to thousands of dollars. The Denver Mint produced millions of 1998 pennies, and the D. Mint mark signifies their origin. On the surface, these pennies were part of the standard memorial reverse design that ran from 1959 through 2008. Most of them are common, but hidden among them are coins that tell a very different story. One of the most famous anomalies is the so-called wide AM variety. While most 1998 D pennies feature the letters A and M in the word America almost touching, a small number were mistakenly struck with a reverse design meant for proof coins. On these, the A and M are clearly separated, a mistake that makes them extremely rare and highly collectible. It's details like this, often invisible until pointed out, that can mean the difference between a penny worth face value and one worth thousands. And then there are the double die obverse errors. Double die errors happen when the coin die itself is improperly prepared, leaving a slightly doubled image on the finished coin. In the case of the Lincoln Cent, you might see doubling in Lincoln's eye, his ear, or in the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust. While minor doubling isn't worth much, strong and clear examples can fetch serious money. For collectors, spotting a true double die obverse is like finding a diamond in a gravel pit. Unexpected, dazzling, and unforgettable. Now, let's step back for a moment and consider how these errors come to be. Imagine the atmosphere of the Denver Mint in 1998. Machines striking coins at a furious pace, hundreds of thousands of pennies pouring out every hour. In the midst of this mechanical rhythm, mistakes are inevitable. A mismatched die is installed, or a proof reverse die accidentally makes its way into circulation production. Quality control misses it, and those few rare pieces slip into circulation, waiting for someone with sharp eyes, or sheer luck, to spot them. It's a reminder that even in a world of precision engineering, human error still finds a way to leave its mark. Some of the most exciting moments in coin collecting come from auction records. For example, 1998 D wide AM pennies in pristine, uncirculated condition have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. Even circulated examples, the kind you might genuinely find in your change, can bring hundreds. Collectors will pay a premium for coins that are well preserved, with sharp details and minimal wear. Proof-struck varieties and double-die obverse errors only add to the mystique, creating bidding wars among those who understand their rarity. Imagine turning over a penny in your collection, realizing it's one of these treasures, and seeing it go under the hammer for more than your monthly rent. That's the magic of numismatics. But what truly makes coins like the 1998 D penny fascinating is the way they connect ordinary people to history. Think about it. Lincoln pennies have been in circulation for over a century, passing through millions of hands. They've been slipped into piggy banks, dropped into vending machines, forgotten in couch cushions, and saved in jars for rainy days. Yet within that endless circulation, certain coins stand apart, whispering their stories of missteps at the mint and journeys through time. Holding one of these rare varieties is like holding a tangible piece of history, an object that embodies both everyday life and the extraordinary quirks of chance. Collectors often speak with nostalgia about their first discoveries. Maybe it was finding a wheat penny from the 1940s in their pocket change, or spotting that faint doubling under a magnifying glass. These moments of discovery create a sense of wonder that never quite goes away. The 1998 D penny, with its hidden varieties, has sparked that same feeling for countless enthusiasts. Stories circulate in coin clubs and online forums about people who found a wide AM penny in a handful of change and later sold it for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For them, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the thrill of realizing that something overlooked by millions held a secret worth, uncovering that. Oh, why does this matter for you, the everyday viewer? Because it means that the next time you're handed pennies at a checkout counter, or when you finally decide to sift through that coffee can full of coins in your closet, you could be holding one of these treasures without even knowing it. And that's the heart of the story. Rarity and value don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they hide, quietly waiting to be found by someone curious enough to look closer. Take this as a challenge and an invitation. Go through your change. Look carefully at those 1998 D pennies and don't stop there. Check the spacing of the A and M in America. Look for doubling in Lincoln's features. Use a magnifying glass if you can, and don't underestimate the joy of the hunt. You might not strike gold every time, but when you do, the payoff can be extraordinary. And even if you don't find a fortune, you'll be connecting with a piece of history, touching coins that have traveled across decades, carried by people with stories of their own. Coins like the 1998 D. Lincoln penny remind us of something essential. Value is often hidden in plain sight. What we dismiss as ordinary can sometimes turn out to be remarkable. And while the financial worth is exciting, it's the stories, the history, and the thrill of discovery that make coin collecting truly special. So tonight, before you toss those pennies back into a jar, take a closer look. You never know what you might uncover, and the next life-changing find could be sitting right there in your pocket. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a handful of loose change, and spotting a dull, copper-colored penny. You think nothing of it. Maybe it's from 1993, maybe from the 1980s. You toss it onto the counter or let it roll into the bottom of your drawer. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking pennies, like the 1993 Lincoln cent, could be worth thousands of dollars? That right there is the hidden magic of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, where a small mistake at the U.S. Mint can turn what was supposed to be a 1-cent coin into a treasure that collectors dream about. The Lincoln penny has been a constant companion to Americans for more than a century. Since its introduction in 1909, honoring the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, this coin has seen multiple design changes, countless billions minted, and endless hours of fascination for collectors. But among those countless billions, certain years stand out, not because of design changes or historical milestones, but because of accidents. The 1993 penny is one of those coins. On the surface, the 1993 Lincoln cent looks just like any other of its era. The familiar profile of Lincoln on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, struck in copper-plated zinc, a composition used since 1982. More than 14 billion pennies were minted that year, spread across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. With numbers that high, you'd expect every coin to be completely ordinary. And for most of them, that's true. But hidden among them are examples of rare errors, double dies, and transitional anomalies that transform an otherwise forgotten coin into a collector's prize. To understand why the 1993 penny matters, we need to step back to the early 1990s. The U.S. Mint was undergoing a period of technological transition, upgrading equipment, and refining the production process. But even in an age of modern minting, errors still slipped through. Take, for instance, the double die obverse. This error occurs not during the striking of the coin, but during the creation of the die itself, the engraved steel tool used to strike thousands of coins. When a die is improperly hubbed, it can leave two slightly offset impressions. The result is doubling on the coin, most often seen in the lettering, the date, or Lincoln's profile. Imagine looking closely at a 1993 penny and noticing that the 3 in the date looks like it's shadowed, or that "In God We Trust" seems slightly duplicated. To most people, this looks like a smudge or a trick of the eye. But to collectors, it's the telltale sign of a double die, and it can mean the coin is worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the coin's condition. Now let's talk about transitional errors. In coin collecting, a transitional error happens when a coin is struck with a planchet, a blank disc of metal, that was intended for a different year or composition. For example, after the switch from bronze to copper-plated zinc in 1982, some older bronze planchets still found their way into the presses, creating pennies with the wrong weight and composition. By 1993, the official composition was firmly copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams. But what if a few leftover bronze planchets, weighing 3.11 grams, were accidentally fed into the presses? Those coins, if discovered, are instantly valuable because they represent a mistake that wasn't supposed to exist. Collectors are always on the hunt for off-metal strikes like this, and when they appear at auction, they attract enormous attention. The Philadelphia and Denver Mint struck most of the 1993 pennies for circulation, while the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins. Proof coins are struck with specially polished dies and planchets, giving them mirror-like finishes and sharper details. They're sold directly to collectors, not released into circulation. But even proof coins aren't immune to errors. There are reports of 1993 proof cents with doubling in the inscriptions or unusual die cracks, flaws that can turn an already desirable collector piece into something even rarer. A flawless proof might sell for a modest premium, but a proof with a striking error could sell for hundreds or more because it combines rarity with an already limited mintage. Auction records tell the story better than anything else. While the majority of 1993 pennies are still worth only face value, select varieties and error coins have shocked collectors with their realized prices. A 1993 Lincoln cent with dramatic doubling on the obverse sold at auction for thousands of dollars. Another example, a transitional off-metal strike, brought in similar numbers. Even mint state coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, when found in pristine red condition with high grades like MS67 or MS68, have sold for hundreds of dollars simply because of their rarity at that quality level. These numbers illustrate just how wide the gap can be between an ordinary penny and a numismatic gem. But beyond the money, there's the history. Each error coin is a story in metal, a frozen record of the moment something went wrong at the mint. Imagine the Denver Mint in 1993, presses pounding away, thousands of coins clattering into bins every minute. Workers checking dies, adjusting machinery, trying to keep up with the demands of billions of coins. In the midst of that chaos, a mismatched die or leftover planchet slips through, unnoticed, until decades later, a collector spots the anomaly under a magnifying glass. Suddenly, that penny becomes more than just currency. It becomes a piece of history, a survivor of a mistake that should never have happened. Collectors love these stories because they connect the ordinary to the extraordinary. A penny isn't glamorous. It's the lowest denomination in American currency, often dismissed, even abandoned. But in numismatics, value doesn't come from the denomination. It comes from rarity, condition, and history. And that's why the 1993 penny captures attention. It reminds us that even the most common objects can hold secrets worth uncovering. I remember reading about a collector who found a rare 1993 double die penny while going through pocket change. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. But after comparing it to reference photos online, he realized he was holding a coin worth several $1,000s. He sent it to be graded, and the confirmation came back. A rare variety, authenticated and encapsulated. That moment of discovery is what keeps collectors searching, day after day, through rolls of pennies from banks, through jars of change passed down from parents and grandparents. It's a treasure hunt hidden in plain sight. And that's where this story turns back to you. How many times have you ignored a penny, let it slip between your fingers, or left it behind because it wasn't worth the effort? If you knew that one of those pennies could hold the key to a rare error or variety, would you still overlook it? The truth is, most people never check. But those who do, those who take the time to look closely, sometimes uncover treasures that others have missed out. And so here's your takeaway. Don't underestimate the humble penny. If you come across a 1993 Lincoln cent, look closer. Check the date for doubling. Inspect the lettering for unusual anomalies. Weigh the coin to see if it's bronze instead of zinc. Even if you find nothing unusual, the process itself connects you to a tradition that spans generations, a tradition of curiosity, discovery, and history. And if you do find something, you could be holding a coin worth far more than its face value. A coin that links you to the extraordinary world of minting errors and collector passion. The next time you hold a penny in your hand, remember, it's not just a coin. It could be a clue, a mystery, or even a small fortune waiting to be uncovered. All it takes is one moment of curiosity to turn pocket change into history and history into treasure. Imagine standing at the counter of a small corner store in 1984. You're handed back your change, and among the quarters and dimes is a simple penny, copper-colored, shiny, and new. You slip it into your pocket without a thought, never realizing that one day, a penny just like it might be worth thousands of dollars. That's the magic of coins, the mystery hidden in plain sight. And it's especially true of the 1984 Lincoln cent, a coin so ordinary in appearance that most people overlook it, yet hides secrets that collectors spend lifetimes chasing. The Lincoln cent has been the most recognizable piece of American coinage for generations. First struck in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny carried his dignified profile into everyday life. By 1984, the design was familiar. Lincoln's bust on the obverse, sculpted by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, introduced in 1959. Billions were minted that year, flooding pockets, piggy banks, and cash registers across the country. To most people, a penny was just a penny. But hidden within the ocean of 1,984 issues are treasures, rare varieties, and minting errors that transform this humble coin into something far more valuable. Let's set the stage with some context. The 1980s were a time of transition for the U.S. Mint. By this point, pennies were no longer made primarily of copper. In 1982, the composition shifted from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc core, reducing weight from 3.11 grams to 2.5 grams. The 1984 cents were struck on this new copper-plated zinc planchet, and the majority were produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. While the San Francisco Mint focused on proof coins, Philadelphia struck billions for circulation, each carrying no mint mark, while Denver coins carried the familiar D. But the most famous of the 1984 cents is not defined by its composition, but by an accident, a dramatic minting error that still captures the imagination of collectors today. Known as the 1984 double die obverse, this variety is one of the most striking and obvious double dies of the Lincoln cent series. Look closely at Lincoln's ear on this coin, and you'll notice something extraordinary. A second, fully formed ear, like a ghost image doubling his profile. Unlike subtle varieties that require magnification to appreciate, this error is bold, unmistakable, and fascinating even to the casual eye. How does something like this happen? The answer lies in the process of creating dies. A die is the steel tool used to strike the coin's design into blank planchets. In the 1980s, the process of hubbing, the transfer of design from the master hub to working dies, could sometimes cause misalignments. If the hub pressed into the die more than once, but slightly off-center on the second impression, the result was doubling. On the 1984 cent, this doubling was so severe that Lincoln's ear appears twice. Collectors dubbed it the extra ear penny, and it became one of the most sought-after error coins of the decade. Stories of discovery began to spread among collectors. People going through pocket change suddenly found pennies with something odd about them, and word traveled fast. Coin publications highlighted the variety. Magnified photographs of Lincoln's doubled ear appeared in guides, and the hunt was on. For everyday people, it was a revelation, A penny that cost 1 cent to spend could suddenly be worth hundreds of dollars to the right collector. For seasoned numismatists, it was a reminder that even in the modern era of precise machinery, the mint was not immune to mistakes. Auction records bring the drama into sharp relief. While circulated examples of the 1984 double die obverse might fetch anywhere from $75 to a few $100s, depending on condition, high-grade examples certified by professional grading services, such as PCGS or NGC, have sold for much more. A well-preserved coin in mint state red, with grades pushing MS65 or MS66, can bring in over $1,000. And for those rare gems that reach even higher grades, prices soar into the several $1,000s range. Imagine the thrill of holding a penny plucked from circulation that later sells at auction for more than the price of a luxury vacation. But the doubled ear isn't the only story the 1984 penny has to tell. As with any year of coinage, the vast number of pieces struck meant that countless minor errors occurred. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other anomalies. Though not as dramatic as the double die obverse, these errors still carry significant collector interest. A penny struck 10% off-center might catch your eye, but one struck 50% off-center, with both date and design visible, becomes a highly valuable collectible. Similarly, a coin with a major die break, often called a cud, can turn an ordinary cent into something worth far more. The proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint also deserve mention. Sold directly to collectors, these coins were carefully crafted with polished dies and planchets, producing mirror-like surfaces. While their numbers were smaller compared to circulation strikes, errors occasionally slipped through even in proof production. A double die in a proof coin, for instance, is an especially desirable find, blending the beauty of a flawless strike with the intrigue of a mint mistake. What makes these coins so appealing isn't just the monetary value, it's the story. Each error is a piece of history, a tangible artifact of the moment something went wrong at the mint. It's as though the coin carries a secret, invisible to most, but waiting to be discovered by someone curious enough to look closely. A doubled ear is more than just a design flaw. It's a conversation piece, a reminder that even in the pursuit of perfection, humans and their machines are fallible. Collectors know this well. The allure of coin collecting is not only in the chase for perfection, the flawless, high-grade examples, but also in the embrace of imperfection. An error coin represents rarity born out of chaos, and that rarity is what drives value. For everyday people, discovering an error coin is like stumbling upon buried treasure. For seasoned numismatists, it's about filling gaps in collections, telling stories through anomalies, and preserving pieces of minting history for future generations. The 1984 penny, with its double die obverse, has taught countless collectors and hobbyists an important lesson. Never overlook the smallest details. What seems like a smudge, shadow, or odd line might actually be a minting error worth far more than the coin's face value. And in a world where billions of coins were struck, it's the few that stand apart. The ones with their flaws on display, that capture our imagination. The next time you see a penny, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Take a moment to look at the date, check the design, and hold it under the light. Does Lincoln's ear look doubled? Are the inscriptions slightly shadowed? Is the strike off-center, or the rim clipped in an unusual way? Any of these could be signs that the coin in your hand isn't ordinary at all, but extraordinary. In the end, the story of the 1984 Lincoln cent is about more than just money. It's about curiosity, attention to detail, and the thrill of discovery. It's about how something as small and overlooked as a penny can carry within it a mystery worth unraveling. And it's about how everyday people, not just experts, can stumble upon treasures simply by paying attention to what others ignore. Here's your call to action. Go through your change, check the jars of coins tucked away in your house, and look again at the pennies you thought were worthless. The 1984 Lincoln cent with a double die obverse is out there, waiting to be found. Maybe it's sitting right now in a jar on your dresser, or lying at the bottom of a cash register drawer. Don't let the opportunity slip through your fingers. Because the truth is, Even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprises.